This time, I visited Vedanta Academy. It is the only one in the world which enables you to develop your intellect. Swami Parthasarathy, an eminent Indian philosopher, studied and propagated the Vedanta philosophy for over 60 years. He founded the Vedanta Academy in 1988 in the serene hills of Malavli, situated between Mumbai and Pune.
Living is an art, a technique, a skill. But you've got to learn it and practice it. That's what the wisdom all about.
Swamiji wrote 12 books. One of the books which is very powerful is Vedanta Treatise. In my yearning to know more about Vedanta, I came to the Vedanta Academy and met Sunandaji, the daughter disciple of Swami Parthasarathy. Sunandaji has been studying and teaching Vedanta for over 4 decades. She does Bhagavad Gita yajnas in India and abroad. Come join us as we try to find answers to some life questions in these deep conversations. I have been attending Vedanta Treaty classes for more than 3 years. I learned many things and practiced them. Swamiji said the law of causation is the supreme law. Let's ask Sunandaji about it.
Swamiji wrote 12 books.
Yes.
Out of that, one book is Vedanta Treatise. So this is Vedanta Treatise, and it is called the Book of the Planet. Swamiji speaks about the supreme law, and that is the law of causation.
Correct.
Yeah. So cause and effect.
Cause and effect, yes.
So if there is cause and effect, he says it has two laws to it. One is the law of karma, and another is law of destiny.
So the law of causation is a very simple law. It only states this: every cause has an effect. Every effect has a perfectly related cause. When we say that, human beings as we are free to do anything. Ultimately, nobody can stop us. We say, look, this is what I want to do and I will do it. Fair enough. You perform actions. But what one may not realize, that whatever you do has an effect, has a result which you're going to face, a consequence. Now, if a person is in a good place in life, it's an effect. What's the cause? That person has done whatever it takes to deserve that place, a good place. Yes.
So if somebody is not in a
Good place. Likewise, the same law. You have contributed to being in that place, whatever it is, good or bad, right or wrong. So we believe some other power is guiding our fortunes. In other words, you are the architect of your fortune. You are the architect of your misfortune. So each one ought to take onus of one's own life. Now, coming back to the law of causation, you said there are two aspects. So one is the law of destiny, which relates to the past. Like we said today, you are at a place. Wherever you are, it's fait accompli. I mean, you've reached here. It's a consequence. Now, how did you get here? Because of whatever you have done this day backward. How far back, we cannot say.
You mean to say it could also be in my past?
It's a projection. You cannot prove it. Why I'm saying that is, how do you account for one child born in poverty, another baby born in opulence? Who decides? One baby is born healthy, another baby is born with ailments. Why? What has the baby done? So our masters, our sages, they made intelligent conclusions. See, a person lives life. You've done different things, good, bad, indifferent. There's a perfect accounting system where I do not know, but there's a perfect accounting system. and everything has a consequence. Now you may consciously do things, you may unconsciously do things, directly, indirectly, but there's a perfect accounting going on. So wherever a person is, that position, that environment, that situation is something the person deserves. It sounds harsh, but
and
it's a fact.
And the person has chosen that.
Chosen not consciously. Nobody wants to be in a bad place. But why do you end up in a good place or not a good place? Because of whatever you have done. So when we say done, it's not just your actions. Every action is accounted, every feeling. So you may be doing good acts, like charitable acts, but you may inculcate negative feelings in you. I don't like this person. I hope this person doesn't prosper, doesn't deserve it. We can play God, we decide who's good, who's bad, who deserves what. It's not in our hands, but you could encourage such feelings or thoughts. Now all those
Also has
an impact. So while you may be doing wonderful actions physically, when you encourage the opposite feelings and thoughts, it gets nullified, and that is the result. So you'd wonder, what have I done?
yeah.
Why do I have to face this in life? What we should realize, anything we face in life is exactly a consequence or effect of what we have done this day backward. See, when you do that, when you understand that, you take onus of your own actions. You better be careful because it's your life.
And then you become so aware of even your thought, what you have for another
yes.
person,
Oh,
what you
yes.
feel towards another person.
Object, situation, we are
Yeah.
very judgmental.
Yeah.
That's why Christ said, judge not others, because you ought not to and you cannot.
Yeah.
So what we must understand is that this law of destiny, which is what we're discussing, is a result, is an effect. That is where you are at the moment. You can't do anything about it. So, for example, a person is illiterate. It's his destiny. Why? This day backward, he never put in effort to learn. Now, what will be his future destiny? Future destiny depends on what he does or does not do from this day onwards.
The choice he makes.
The choices he makes. So, if we were to define future or your future destiny, it is a continuation of the past modified in the present.
Could you explain that again?
So future, what is the future? What is anybody's future? It is a continuation of the past modified in the present. Because
What is modification in the present?
you have a choice. You can do something positive now or you can do something negative now. Now that's going to impact your future destiny. So while you are a victim of the past, a product of the past, you're also the producer of the future. That is the law of karma. Law of karma states that whatever you do this day on would bring about your future destiny. Where you are now is your present destiny, which is a result of your past karma.
That means you are like you said, you are your own architect, you are your own creator.
Exactly. You are where you are because of what you have done. It's like your bank balance. See, suppose you have a low bank balance. You go to the manager and say, hey, why is my bank balance so low? He says, excuse me, sir, just a minute, and gives you what you call a bank statement. Now, what does your statement show? Debit, 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 credit, credit, debit, debit, debit. If there are so many debits and couple of credits, how can you expect your bank balance to be in the plus or, the way you want it?
Yeah.
So all you have to do is ensure there are no debits and there are more credits. That's all you have to do. That is karma.
But I do not take the responsibility. Is a conditioning a myth, or it is something that we have read for so many years and we follow this, that this is how it had to be, it's nothing in my hands. So what do you want to say about that?
Sheer ignorance.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not so bad. Think. Think. Like I said, should you not understand why? Who decides? One baby is born in poverty, another baby is born in opulence. Baby has not done anything yet. How does it happen? You must think. And also, there is a weakness among people to follow the herd. Everybody thinks so it must be right. Numbers don't make a thing right. Just because one person said it or many people say the same thing doesn't make it right. So you're a human being. You ought to think for yourself.
And we have left thinking.
Well, it is on a downward trend. We take things for granted. We don't question things. And even if we question, we're not patient enough to derive the answers.
Yeah.
So this whole training is to make one conscious, anybody conscious, that we have a unique faculty no other creature has. It's only a human being. We're not animals, we're not plants, we're humans. So we ought to understand what it takes to be a human. See, just because you're born a human doesn't mean you know how to live the life of a human. Not like other creatures. See, a chick knows what it must do as soon as it comes out of its egg. A puppy knows what it has to do. A deer, a wildebeest, all creatures.
They all know.
They know. So a fish will not think of flying in the air. A bird will not think of swimming in the water. It's all set for them. They know exactly what they have to do. But in the case of a human, you're given choice. And what I'm trying to say is you could be in the best of situations and ruin it. You could be in the worst of situations and come out with flying colors. Both are possible. So it depends on your choice, what you choose to do. And you would make good choices if you follow your intellect, your understanding, your higher values. That will help you make choices, good choices in life.
Whoa, that was really profound. So one that I got from you, that you are your own creator.
Yes.
You make your own choices and you have to face your own consequences of the choices.
Correct.
It is not outside but inside that you think what choices that you have to make. Wherever you are is what you deserve. But you can change, like you said, you can modify your future.
You could.
And that you can do with the help of the intellect.
Yes. That's the hope for humanity. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your background is, how good or how bad, all that doesn't matter. Moment to moment, you have a choice that you can make. And depending on the choices that you make, you're building your future destiny.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
We do want to know the secrets to be successful, isn't it? Sunandaji has explained this beautifully to how to be successful.
One of the most important questions that quite a few people ask is how to be successful.
Right. There are 3 aspects to success. In fact, you could call it the 3 C's to success. One is concentration. Second is consistency. And the third is cooperation. So if you have the 3 together, one could be successful. Now, what is concentration? Concentration is the ability of the intellect to hold the mind in the present action without allowing it to slip into the past or the future. That is concentration. Because oftentimes what happens, it's the mind that takes you to the past while you're acting.
Yes.
So you can make your plans, you can bring in the past to examine what happened and how to handle action. Your planning is all right. And you could even think of what you want to achieve in the future, which is the right thing to do. But when you plunge into action, you ought not to permit your mind to slip into the past or be anxious about the future. And that is the role of the intellect, to keep the mind in present action. That's the first discipline. The second is to be consistent. So when you take up a thing, you must ensure that you go to the end of it with the same pace and enthusiasm and inspiration as you took it up. Oftentimes we start off very well, and somewhere down the line we lose that enthusiasm or the pace in which we started. So consistency of purpose is the next discipline. And the third is to have a cooperative feeling. You know, it's not, in any work that we do, it's not just one person. There are many people who come together to make it possible. So we must learn to cooperate with all those concerned to complete the action. So with these three disciplines, concentration, consistency and cooperation, one ought to be successful in any action that they take.
What do you think? We need to have a target? We need to be focused on the result, or no?
There is no doubt that one must have a goal, a target, an ideal to work for. That's when you perform good actions, you know, positive, productive actions, because you need to get to some place. But while we're talking about when you perform an action, all the planning and programming is fine before the action. When you get into action, that's when you need the entire attention of your mind and intellect on the present action. Oftentimes, we fail to do that because we're not trained. The whole discussion is we need to employ the intellect and at the same time develop the intellect, strengthen the intellect so that even if the mind were to slip, it should bring it back. It's something like a rubber ball is in your hand, it slipped. There's a flight of stairs. Okay? When it slips out of your hand, you should quickly hold it. If you miss it, it goes to step one. You got to quickly reach out and hold it. If you miss that, it goes to step 4. You got to be very agile to reach out and hold it. If you miss that, it's gone. It goes to step 10, 20 and it's gone. You lose it. So the mind could slip, it's possible, but you got to quickly bring it back to present action, and that's the role of the intellect.
That means this practice, in which you had said build the muscle, yeah? So this has to be done every day by every person, every moment, or it's okay to slip and then come back. It's like, and how much you did yesterday, you put in a little more effort this today, and keep moving on and on till you really reach towards the 3 C's.
So what we need to do is to go through this exercise of building an intellect, and that has to be done on a daily basis. It's just like you know, training your body to be fit. So you miss a day or two. A person who is attuned to fitness would not be comfortable.
But also, what about those people who decide on 31st of December that what is my New Year resolution? So something for all of us, because we do have the resolution every January 1st, and that stays not for 15 days or maybe only for a month, and it gets fizzled out.
Now, when you want to achieve something, it's not a emotional, you know, outburst that I must get this, I must do it. It is a reasonable, realistic goal that you set for yourself depending on your capacity. So you've got to be fair to yourself, and you've got to be realistic. You can't be idealistic. So these sort of impulsive sort of conclusions that we come to, that I'm going to achieve it, may not be realistic, so it doesn't last. But if you, they say slow and steady, you know, you go slow and steady, understand what your capacity is, how much you can put in, and then be consistent. It's not so much fixing an ideal, even that is quite simple, but to be consistent in your application, now that needs discipline. You may say, why is it that we are not consistent? Anything constructive is difficult. Anything destructive, you don't need tutoring. You do it automatically.
Yeah, that's profound.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So we know we ought not to eat junk food, but we do.
Yeah.
We know we ought to exercise, but we choose not to. Because it's easy to turn the other side of the bed and laze, especially in the winter mornings, and to get out of bed, to jump out of bed, that urge to laze.
Yes.
You got to fight it. And then you get into action. So if you're able to hold that temptation initially and get into the discipline every day, a time comes when you begin to actually enjoy the discipline.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's tough.
Yeah.
Anything is difficult in the beginning.
Yes.
But once you get established in it, you wonder how you manage not to do it.
Yes. Yes.
I have always wondered how to be self sufficient. What happens and what changes after I become self sufficient? Here is the most impactful answer which has changed my life.
How to be self-sufficient?
So when you evolve, when you aim to become a better human, and how do you do that? See, we have three aspects in us. The body acts. What sort of actions are we performing? If your actions are self-centered now, you could convert self-centered actions into unselfish actions. You bring in this concept of service and sacrifice in your actions, whatever you do. That is improving yourself at the physical level. Emotionally, we all have love. Everybody has love, that emotion of love. But this love could be polluted with selfishness. In fact, if we could put a formula, love plus selfishness equals attachment.
Love
Plus selfishness
is
equals
to
attachment. Meaning it's conditional love. I love you because you're nice to me. The moment you're not nice, it alters. So when love is conditional, conditioned to what? My demands, my needs. That is love, but it's tainted with selfishness. That is what attachment is. But attachment, which most people are experiencing in relationships, if you remove the selfish aspect in an attachment, you've got love, pure love. Because it's not conditional.
So love would be love is equal to?
Attachment minus selfishness. The I factor, the my factor. What about me? All the time the attention is upon oneself. Are you catering to my demands? Then I care for you. The moment you stop catering, my love alters. So pure love is when you accept another unconditionally.
Yeah.
You may take your time to, decide who you want to associate with. But once you make that decision, in talking about a marriage, it's a commitment. Then you don't put conditions. You accept the person as he is or she is. Knowing, you may say, why? Because nobody is perfect. I mean, we'd admit that we have strengths and weaknesses. We have imperfections. And we're dealing with it quite happily. Now, why can't you do that with the other person? The other person also has certain imperfections. So we got to learn to understand and go along with those imperfections. This is the second discipline. How to evolve. We're still on the subject of how to become a better human. So as far as actions are concerned, you bring in service and sacrifice in whatever you do. As far as emotions are concerned, love, you have to get rid of the selfish aspect in that noble feeling of love towards your spouse, towards your children, towards parents, towards anyone. And the third discipline is to gain knowledge of higher values. Now you can decide where you want to get it from. Whatever the source be, you've got to associate with higher values of life. When we talk about higher values, so in our Shastras, I talked about the Vedanta philosophy. It merely contains what is referred to in Sanskrit as Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma simply means eternal principles of life and living.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. See, what was true of the older generation is very applicable to the present generation, and it will continue to be applicable to future generations as long as we are human beings. So it's not only in time, but it applies to all humans across the globe, because these are human values. And humans as we are, we need to learn them. Now the problem here is it's not taught in schools. There's something called subjects like morals and ethics that are taught. But we're talking about factors that make a human humane. There are various factors. And first things first, you start developing from the basics and slowly evolve. The idea is wherever you are, each one has equal opportunity to grow, to evolve. So when you have these three disciplines going at the physical, emotional, and intellectual level, you're going to develop yourself. You're going to evolve to becoming a better human. So to the extent you develop yourself, I've told you briefly how to do that. To that extent, you are less dependent upon the world. You're living in the same world, doing the same things that you've always been doing, but now there's a difference. Because you have set this program of self-development, you become less dependent. So you could say self-development and dependence upon the world are inversely proportioned. The more evolved you are, the less dependent you will be. And that brings about peace and happiness in you.
Oh, lovely.
As we dive deep into the ocean of knowledge with Sunandaji, I found some pearls of wisdom. I hope you found some too. If you wish to learn more about Vedanta and its teachings, please do write to us.